Yeah.
Can't realize how smart they are until they're negotiating bedtime.
Leaders.
Oh, she said the funniest things. Oh,
Yeah, you gotta close that one, Jeanette. This one right here? Yep. Okay, it'll still, sorry about that. It'll still record. Okay.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Board of Directors meeting at the BWB Building 201 West Third Street, Jamestown, New York. Also electronically via live stream on YouTube and Zoom. It's April 25th at 10 o'clock. We'll take a roll call vote. Gary Henry is here. Rhonda Johnson.
Here.
Stephen Thorpe.
Here.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Here.
Dan Demart.
Here.
Brad Walters. Kevin Muldowney.
Here.
You should have already received the March 28th minutes and had a chance to review those. We have a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Seconds.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. We'll move right into new business. And Carol, are you gonna be presenting? Today?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. VP Endeavors LLC. This went to the Loan Review Committee on April 12th. And the Loan Review Committee recommended that this loan come to the board today. The project is a purchase of Wildwood Acres. Here, the current owner, who's been there for 21 years, has ran the business except for during COVID, he was completely shut down. He does have an illness, so he's selling property. Of Wildwood Acres, and Steve Bowman and Tom Peterson are they would like to purchase it. It is a campground. They have tents, RVs, swimming pools, catch and release ponds. And the business is doing very well. It's 20 acres. There's 20 acres of harvestable timber on there, which would add to revenue. They're going to put a moderate increase in rent, which they have done a market study, and it's comparable with other campgrounds. They both have RVs. They're going to be there during the summer. They have a father-in-law who's going to live there and manage. They're both very capable of continuing this. They're both engineers. They're from Warren, PA, and they also have a lot of experience in rental property. So they're partners together. They have the experience. The revenue looks good. There's 20 or 30 sites that are cleared and they have slabs. So another increase in revenue is they're going to open those up. They haven't been opened up, but they're ready to be opened up. The electric and sewer is in. And they're very excited about it. This is really the only campground right around Beavis Point. I'm not sure if I mentioned it was in Beavis, but it's on Brown Road in Beavis Point. The revenue stream is good. And this will, right now it's 242,540, and all this increase in the slabs will add another 24,000 in revenue. So the purchase is for the land, the whole campground, all the equipment involved. They'll be doing a lot of the maintenance themselves, which will also save them some money. So their request, we were actually approached by Erie Bank to come in for 100,000. To complete the site. The whole project is 668,000. Let's see, the resolution calls for Okay, also, I should mention the appraisal came in at 780,000 market value. Including the land, the estimated value is about 1.28. They actually, Erie Bank did approach us because they need to close the loan very quickly. So it will be bridged, and our check for 100,000 will go right to Erie Bank. The collateral is second position behind Erie Bank on the land, all assets. The second position is a lien mortgage and assignments of leases and rents. There will also be personal guarantees and life insurance assignments on both Steve Bogart and John Peterson. Does anyone have any questions on that? I'm assuming the rate is 4%, 15-year term with a 20-year amortization, which reflects the same term as Erie Bank.
I just have a comment. One is that with our loan committee, the two young men, were on the call, and they're very enthusiastic. It appeared that they were very capable, and you could just see the enthusiasm that they're going to have behind this project. So I was encouraged by that, and also, the fact that the LTEC loan fund was defederalized. Certainly, this is a type of loan that we can do and should do, and I think. Tourism as economic development is very important. We know that tourism has done very well here and is continuing to do well here. And I think it's incumbent upon us to support these types of projects.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
We have no other.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good project. We have no further questions. Rhonda, would you move new business A1?
Yes. Resolution 04-25-23-01 of the members of the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency to approve an EDA loan, LTEC loan to BP Endeavors LLC.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
You have a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson,
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe,
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader,
Aye.
Dan DeMart,
Aye.
Brad Walters, Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
And the resolution is unanimously approved. I think Mark pointed out in one of our meetings how well this whole project fits with some of the other projects that we have going on, with the tourism coming into the county, but also with the outdoor activities, everything going on with the lake, the trails, all that. And then this just comes right in with part of that. So I think it will be a really good project for our county. Carol, did you want to move right into?
Yeah, the next resolution is the Crow Group LLC. This is a pilot tax lease application from Peter Crow. I think everybody is familiar with Peter and his development around the area. We on February 28th, there was a due diligence resolution because we accepted the application. And through the due diligence process on March 22nd, we did have a public hearing in Falconer, the village of. And the project consists of Peter purchasing the site at 310 East Elmwood Avenue in Falconer, which is a former truck light building. Peter is going to purchase this and then lease it out to, accompany the office space and maybe some manufacturing space. The lease isn't in place right now. The project cost is $3,655,000. In this application, he's requesting mortgage tax, which would come up at $43,750. And there is some sales tax that we put in there in case he has to do any renovations for an upcoming leasing. There also is a 15-year pilot in place. So today there will be a deviation hearing. And there will be a resolution to approve the seeker and approve the project. And Millen can talk a little bit about that. I'll just say the 15-year pilot. No abatement annually. It's the taxes are $137,065. It's a 15-year pilot that will save him $513,993. Which is 75%. Actually will be paid. Are there any questions on this?
I just have one more additional comment that
Okay.
Rich and I met with Janet Bowman, the mayor. Town supervisor, sorry. Some time back, and we discussed this whole thing, and she was very much on board with it.
As was Mayor Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say before we vote on it, and I could say it after, but how hard the staff has worked on this, especially Carol and Rich, and trying to, one of the pledges that we've made year after year is getting some of these old buildings back into productive use, and they're always a challenge, but I'm really hopeful that there'll be a good outcome for this, and it starts with Peter Krogh buying it and doing some improvements to it, and the parking lot and the roof and other things, and hopefully finding a responsible tenant for it.
And jobs.
And jobs.
I'm guessing the German company's committed to it with him contractually.
That's not
Yeah,
a for sure at this time. He's
we don't want to.
inquiring with it.
Yeah, we don't want to say too much about that because we don't know what's going to happen with that. But
They haven't had,
Looks good though.
yeah, it's
but
positive.
they haven't had the final board meeting.
Just chime in to add to, I used to live right around the corner, and obviously the, truck light and that facility is really critical to, that neighborhood, the village, the town and the area. So I think, obviously Peter Krogh coming in and knows what he's doing, and a big step in the right direction to getting some activity back there. So.
And if it goes through, Danny, they've got plans to do major improvements there to the parking lot and make it look a lot nicer.
Great.
So it's all good. Yep.
Sure.
Right, technically, this is a spec building because, as I think Mark mentioned, there is no tenant yet. There's been lots of rumors, and we understand that Peter Krogh is, close to doing a deal with a particular manufacturer, but the approval is not contingent on that. He's going to fix the building up and lease it to someone, and maybe someone that we've heard about, maybe someone else later on.
Thank you.
We have to do the deviations here. Yeah.
Okay, so we can start with the deviation hearing.
Sure. I note that notice of today's deviation hearing has been sent to each member of, or each representative of the affected tax jurisdictions by a letter dated March 24th. We have received no correspondence or other communication objecting to this from any of the affected tax jurisdictions. So with that being said, I would ask if any members of the, or any representatives of any affected tax jurisdictions have any comments at this point, please let us know. Hearing none, I'll call the public hearing or the pilot deviation hearing to a close. So there are two resolutions, the deviation resolution to approve the deviation that we just talked about. As I think Carol mentioned, it's a flat $102,799 for 15 years, held flat for that period of time. That's the deviation. And then there is also a sales tax and mortgage recording tax. Since this is interior renovation only, it is considered type 2 under SECRA. So there's no separate SECRA resolution, but in the approving resolution, you will see that there is a conclusion that because this is all interior and doesn't change the use or anything other than maybe the parking lot, it's considered type 2. So there's that reference in the approving resolutions. There's just those two resolutions.
So Millen, on the agenda, it would be resolution 425-2302 and 425-2304, correct?
Yes.
So 03 would be crossed out.
Cross out.
Cross out all three. Thank you.
Thank you. You can move, we can move those together too, right, Millen?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Steve, would you move resolution B2 for us?
Sure. Resolution 04-25-23-02 deviation approval resolution for the Krog Group LLC and resolution 04-25-23-04 final authorizing resolution, the Krog Group LLC.
Very well done. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks. We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Brad Walters.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney. It's approved unanimously. Thank you. And then, you want to move C as well? Explain that to us.
And so, C is, yes, C is back on the Crow Group for the purchase of building at 310. Peter really went to loan review in March, and Peter has come to us requesting an LTEC ED or EDA loan for $900,000. It's a 5-year AMOR or 5-year term with a 10-year AMOR. The purchase price of the building is $3.3 million with some soft costs involved. The total project is $3,655,000. So this is for the purchase of the building. He has a commitment from Union Bank for $2.6 million. Our $900,000 and his equity injection of $155,000 will complete the purchase and the soft costs. So I guess at this point, I can ask for questions. Our collateral is going to be second behind Union Bank on the mortgage and all assets. Peter has asked us to waive life insurance assignment and personal guarantee.
And the loan
Which
committee
we have
approved
done.
or recommended approval.
And that's the way the loan review committee recommended it. Yeah, so any other questions on that?
How big's the building? Any idea?
Yeah, it's 160,000 square feet, and then there's like 20 acres.
Oh. Big one.
Yeah,
It is a
it can,
beautiful building.
yeah. Have a lot of office space in there and then some. And then some.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta update our pictures.
Okay, any further questions on that?
Dan Hetzenrader, would you move new business C1 for us?
Resolution 04-25-2305. The members of the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency to approve an LTEC loan to the Krog Group LLC.
And do we have a second?
Okay.
Thank you. We'll take a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe. Will Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Dan Demart.
Aye.
Brad Walters.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
And it's unanimously approved. Thank you, Carol. We've been busy so far this morning. I'm sure a lot of work went into this. So now now you've got your work done. You can have a donut and some coffee and snacks for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That's a day.
All right, let's not go over.
Didn't hear that.
We'll move into new business D. And Christine, are you gonna explain that one to us?
I think that Rich plans to,
Hey, I'm-
and then, yes, and then I will.
Thanks, Chris.
Ellen.
So, and Mark too, please feel free to jump in. So Portage to Portage LLC is for the project for the old Welch's building in Westfield. The board had previously approved a pilot there that was one of our standard policies. It was an adaptive reuse pilot. It was a 15-year pilot. The developer was talking with his investors and with the people who are making him the loan. They were hoping that they could get some more certainty as to what the tax payments would be after year 15. They originally came to us and said they talked about maybe a 30-year, 25-year. We ended up with a compromise that I think is very fair. And for a 20-year pilot, years 0 through 15 are exactly the same as the UTEP was as far as the percentage for an adaptive reuse. And years 16 through 20 is 100% tax, but it's fixed. So for the investors in this type of project and the lenders, certainty is the key. So while we're not really giving them a break in year 16 through 20, we are fixing it. So, that's the amount. The investors are happy. The banks are going to be happy. The developers happy. We spoke at length with Martha Bills about this. She was in favor of it. We did have a public hearing on this, right, Christine?
Yes, we issued public hearing and deviation notices on April 13th. The public hearing was yesterday, and there were no comments received at the hearing or in writing on either regard to the public hearing or related to the deviation notices.
So not really changing any of the dollar amounts, but just fixing it. And I thought it was a creative solution to help them keep moving this project forward because they're very excited about it. So that's all I have, Millen. I guess we'll turn it over to you.
Sure. We need to do a deviation hearing as well, because while we value the additional financial assistance for years 16 through 20 at 0, it is still technically a deviation because your UTEP provides for a 15-year pilot for adaptive reuse. Notice was sent to all the affected tax jurisdictions with the schedule of the pilot, including the fact that years 16 through 20, the pilot more than or just about doubles from 57,000 and change to 106,000. And as Rich said, that approximates what we think the taxes would otherwise be. So notice having been given to all the affected tax jurisdictions. We've received no correspondence either way. At this time, I guess I'd like to ask if any affected tax jurisdictions would like to be heard by the board. Hearing none, I'd like to close the deviation hearing. And now we have two resolutions. The first is the deviation resolution because we are now deviating as I just described. And the second is an amended approval resolution because we are both approving the additional pilot deviation, if you will, and the borrower has asked for a slight increase in the amount of sales tax and mortgage recording tax because the costs have gone up. This is a type 2 action for SECRA because it's been previously approved. So this action is a paper transaction only involving the financial assistance. It does not change the project in any way. The project has not changed since the approving resolution late last year.
Thank you. Dan DeMart, would you move resolution D2?
I will. D2 resolution 04252306, deviation resolution to Portage LLC, and resolution 04252307, amended authorizing resolution.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. We'll take a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Dan DeMart.
Aye.
Brad Walters.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
And the resolution is unanimously approved. And we'll go ahead and move right into new business E, presented by Nate.
I'm gonna jump on that one. Mr. Chairman, So this resolution approves the IDA entering into a contract with the county to go to accept funding from the American Rescue Plan Act and or capital projects funding from the county to go towards the development of a North County industrial park. The county authorized funding to us about 6 months ago from the ARPA monies. And this is adding to that pot of money. As you know, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in my executive report about the work we're doing to identify a large site and make sure it's, got the infrastructure and everything. And we're using this funding and other funding that we're applying for to get that done.
Did we have any questions? Hearing none. Brad, would you move resolution E1?
Resolution 04252308. Resolution of the members of the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency approving entry into an agreement with Chautauqua County.
Thank you. And do we have a second? Thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Dan Demart.
Aye.
Brad Walters.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
And the resolution is unanimously approved. Did you want to give it?
Yeah. So I'll go fairly quickly here. And if you have any questions, please raise your hand or shout out. And I'm just going to summarize some of the initiatives that we're undertaking and where we're at with those. The White Inn, the Restore New York grant, the ink has been dried with the contract with the state. So work is really going to go into high gear here at the White Inn. There was already some work being undertaken there just in terms of sort of shoring things up. Preventing the weather from causing any more damage. And now they're going to actually start getting in there and doing their thing. It's a $4+ million project. So that's good news. Everyone's excited, and up in Fredonia, all the equipment's there and things are rock and rolling. So that's good. And Nate led the charge on the Restore New York grant. And that was a big boost to the project. Hideaway Bay. The loan closed finally, right, Christine?
The loan didn't close, but they expect to close on they closed on the property, but they expect to close on bank financing.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So, and we're planning hopefully a ground breaking event sometime in May. We're sort of tentatively thinking about, so.
probably not in May.
But
Soon.
soon.
Soon,
Mark,
we're not ready to announce it yet, but we'll be announcing.
Mark, on Hideaway Bay, that's
Moving along.
it's going to close next week.
Yeah.
What did you thinking of the two Portage? We did close on that loan. So two things were happening simultaneously.
Yeah, so on the shovel-ready sites, besides the funding that we've received from the county, 4.8 from the ARPA, we're also chasing after some other monies. Again, Nate is leading the charge on some of the grants that we're submitting. One was an ARC power grant that was submitted last week for $850,000. I was in Washington, 5-6 weeks ago, I want to say, met with Schumer and Langworthy and Gillibrand's office and asking for some congressional spending money, some earmark money in the amount of $2 million. It has not been listed yet on their request, but I'm crossing my fingers that it will be. That would be great. Another $2 million. We're also going to be applying to ARC for another $1 million. That's EDA money. And that'll happen soon. And then also the New York Forward grant program, they allocated $200 million for shovel-ready sites in the in the budget last year. It's not in next year's budget, so we're hoping we can get a piece of that, but we want to apply for a little over 5 million from there. But, you know, if we hit on all these, we'll be in good shape. We can do the whole project, and if we don't, then we'll see where we're at. So we're making a lot of progress on that. There's a lot of back and forth, and I don't want to say a lot about the particulars, but there's been a lot of back and forth with property owners and, you know, due diligence and a lot of things. It's complicated, but we're getting there. We're working with a developer right now. We'll see how it goes for the Silver Creek School. As you know, Region 9 backed out. There was a restore grant of $1 million. That grant is going to sit there in a hold position while we try to find another developer for the project. I'm doubtful that it would be a restoration of that old school. I think it's more likely that it will be a demo, maybe saving some of the, you know, facade or something. But we're working with a local development agency on that right now. We'll see how it goes. And if they choose not to go forward, then we'll do some kind of either an article or an RFP or something to find other developers that might be interested. Also, I got a call a couple of weeks ago about helping Fredonia out with the water study that they're looking at looking at options moving forward for their drinking water. A lot of studies have been done kind of in the past, and they're really looking at Labella doing a study of the studies. No, it's really kind of taking all the information that's been done, you know, that's been created so far, and organizing it in a way that basically says, here are the pros and cons, here's the short and long-term costs, and really doing a cost benefit analysis of, you know, what makes the most sense for moving forward. Is it, you know, joining the water district? Is it a line directly from Dunkirk, or do they keep their current system? But it would really then conclude sort of with some recommendations about what seems to make sense from a financial perspective and a health and safety perspective moving forward. So we've, through the partnership, are contributing $14,400 to that. And they may be coming back to us, and maybe it comes from the IDA regarding a cost benefit analysis, further study sort of from the SUNY Fredonia, because the Labella scope doesn't really go to the sort of the depth and detail that might be required, and there may be some additional analysis required, but that wouldn't be much. So I just wanted to let you know that there might be something more coming. There's a whole lot of other stuff going on, but that's sort of for the time being. And I just wanted to make sure, because I don't think I said at the last meeting, how great our staff is and how hard they work, and you know, how professional they are, and how much I appreciate them. And a shout out to Crystal Earhart, who's going to be filling in for Kayla while she goes on maternity leave. And Kayla's jumped right in with you know, open arms and is taking on some of that work. So I appreciate that and everything everyone's doing. So that's all I have. If anyone has any questions.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Rich, are you going to do the treasurer's report?
Yes, I am. So Carol and I will be double teaming this. If you remember last year, we received a letter from the Authority Budget Office telling us that Critic was no longer considered a component unit of the IDA for reporting purposes. We have to separate now completely from the IDA reports and report that separately on the state system. And it's quite a bit more work, but we're plugging away at it. So we'll have IDA financials now, and we'll have Critic financials. And Mark and I, in our wisdom, had nothing on the Critic agenda, so we canceled that board meeting, but we do have to go over the financials. So Kayla will be doing it today after my report on the IDA. She'll be doing the Critic format and going over that. So you have in front of you the balance sheet from 3/31. As you can see, we're in a very good cash position across all of our funds. We have adequate amount of bad debt reserve. For sure, if we look under that. Just to note some things on there that might be going away in the coming months. You'll see we have accrued interest of $319,000 under the IDA that's owed. Money that was owed to Chautauqua County on the $2 million bond they bought from us to purchase Talcott Street. And also down below, you'll see the $2 million bond. When we sell the property, those will go away. Our asset will go away, and we're hoping that happens soon. That's it on the balance sheet. Moving to the profit and loss. Well, there, I will note that under the IDA, we have a grant income of $158,000. Mark was able to secure money from the Ralph Wilson Foundation to continue the marketing program. Mark, was that that's in there, and some of the expense associated with that will come down the road, but things are looking good there. Last page, of course, is our budget analysis on expenses. To highlight a few things. We will change this as we do every year in July to do a 6-month adjustment. Account for some of the grants and things that are coming in and the sale of the building and the depreciation and where we're at with all that. But for now, we're a little bit behind on application and revenue fees. We expect that to catch up quickly here in the next 3 months with some big projects that we've got closing. On the expense side, some of the professional fees are due to that extra grant. The utilities are at this point in time way over budget, and you'll see our rent is right at our budget because I was budgeting that the sale of our Talcott Street building, which we receive rent and pay the utilities, would happen in March, and it looks like it might be April or May. So, but it will offset, and again, we'll adjust the budget there. So again, I think we're in good shape on the IDA, and Mr. Chairman, that's all I have, unless there's any particular questions about it.
I will tackle the critic portion. So in front of you, you'll see the vast array of the critic / egg projects. Thank you so much, Nate.
Yeah, well, a few more pages back there. You don't have.
Just after the loan report.
Oh, my apologies. It looks the same as a CCIDA. Unfortunately, the title is the same. But it starts with critic at the top. So on our balance sheet, there are a couple of, well, I guess I'll start with CPEG. There actually should be a note receivable in there for 25,000. My mistake, didn't get that in before the third quarter printing of this, which should reflect in the revenue as well, an increase of 25,000. Chattacoin River and Greenway Development both have negative liabilities. That's just a timing thing. It gets put into the system as of the fourth quarter, but the checks are printed ahead of time, so then it looks like a negative. And actually, everyone's in great standing there. You can see the deferred revenues for the OCR grants under critic. Those are all in good standing. We'll move on to the statement of revenue and expenses. The grant income for critic is the $100,000 portion of the Jamestown Container OCR grant that is being paid back as of now. And again, that 75,000 under CPEG should reflect to be 32,500 increase of the 25,000. CPEG has a tendency to the cup runneth over. It always looks that way. It tends to be our catch-all. There are adjustments that we need to make that I didn't get a chance to make before printing this report. However, we have budgeted over 300,000 in revenue to come into CPEG, and our expenses on this trajectory look between 200 and 200. I think we have budgeted 285,000. So we're well within our budgeted expenses showing for the first quarter to cover all those expenses without any problems. And there's also a little bit of flexibility between some of the other funds, transfer expenses into those if need be, but we shouldn't need to. All the other funds are all in great standing thus far. And if we look at our budgets for critic, this budget looks a little bit different from Rich's because I'm using the actual budget module in our accounting software. Whereas Rich does a nice spreadsheet, but we're trying to avoid exporting everything to Excel and moving around numbers, creating human error. So not that Rich ever makes an error.
Wasn't capable.
Yeah,
Plain and simple.
updated
Mr. Spreadsheet himself.
ability earlier. But all the numbers track over to the statement of revenue and expenses per the fund titles. As you can see, we're well under budget, right on track for all of our revenue and all of our expenses. I just wanted to make note that Ralph Wilson, CPEG ARPA both have funds in their deferred revenue that we'll continue to pull from. Trails ARPA and the Greenway Development, both on a quarterly basis, I'll invoice those for whatever expenses have been expensed in the first, second, third, fourth quarter, so on and so forth, and get reimbursement from the county that way. So those almost will always zero out at the end of each quarter. And the Market New York grant, that revenue has been recognized fully for the year. And we're starting to make some progress on that this year. And again, with expense budgets, we're right on track. Nothing looks like it's off track at all. CPEG, again, we have budgeted approximately 285,000 versus the revenue budgeted with 311,000. So we're right on track. It's just an accounting error that I needed to fix. That's why the P&L looks like a loss. But besides that, everything is in great. Nate, Chris will do a great job. Those funds. That's all I have. If anyone has any questions.
I just want to add that this is a lot of work for Kayla and Nate and Crystal. There's a lot of action here, a lot of stuff going on. Money in and out, large dollar amounts, quickly in, quickly out. They do a good job of tracking it, making sure everything's appeared right. I'd also like to add that tomorrow is Kayla's last day at work with us. And then she's off to maternity leave, and we will see you back in the fall, Kayla.
That's right. August.
See you and thank you for all your hard work.
Thanks.
You're only a phone call away, right? I mean, but-
Now, when I see Rich Dixon come up on my.
All right. Yeah.
That's why I use somebody else's.
We have a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The treasurer's report is approved. This time, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the financial or credit history of a particular person or corporation and to discuss matters relating to the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property. In particular, I would like to discuss the status of our loan portfolio and the financial and credit status of some of our borrowers. Also, we will discuss certain possible property acquisitions and dispositions, and I believe that discussing them in open session would substantially affect their value. Do I hear a motion? Second? Okay. We're in executive session.